Hello everyone. My name is Ashley and I'm an occupational therapy student, and today I'm going to discuss gross motor skills. The information that we'll be talking about today is created for educational purposes only and to provide resources and activities related to the specific topic. If you feel that any of this information being discussed relates to your child and creates concern, please contact your healthcare provider. So what are gross motor skills? Gross motor skills are those which require the whole body movement. This involves the large core stabilizing muscles of the body to perform everyday functions such as standing and walking, running and jumping, and sitting upright at the table. This can also include throwing, catching, kicking, riding a bike, and even swimming. So what else is associated with these skills? So a lot of these skills overlap and will be discussed in other areas as well. But today we are going to talk about balance and coordination, muscular strength and endurance, hand-eye coordination, bilateral coordination, and then we're just going to touch on motor planning, motor learning, postural control, sensory processing, crossing midline, and proprioception. Next, we'll review some concepts. So motor planning, it's the ability to move the body with appropriate sequencing and timing to perform movement with refined control. So thinking about getting dressed, doing the appropriate order of things, knowing you need to have your socks on before you put your shoes on, knowing that you have to tie your shoes after you have them on your feet. So just being able to build those skills in a sequence. Motor learning is a change in motor behavior resulting from practice or past experience. So just practicing those steps and performing repetition of it. So when you first learn how to throw a ball, it can be uncontrolled and it will go everywhere, versus when you practice and you keep throwing the ball, you're going to have more refined control and be able to hit the target. Next is postural control, the ability to stabilize the trunk and neck to enable coordination of other limbs. So this is like moving from sitting to standing without falling, or if you do trip, being able to respond and catch yourself. It's also the ability to walk across a rocking bridge or on a boat in the water. Sensory processing is accurate registration, interpretation, and response to the sensory stimulation in the environment and one's own body. So this would be like responding to a tap on your shoulder in a Starbucks versus a tap on the shoulder in a dark alleyway. You're going to have a heightened response in the alleyway because of the environment that you are in, versus if you're in a Starbucks line, maybe they're tapping you on the shoulder because you dropped something. So knowing your surroundings and being able to react to those surroundings. Next is crossing midline. So this is the ability to cross the imaginary line running from the child's nose to the pelvis that divides the body into left and right halves. So thinking about this, when a child is sitting at a table, do they use one hand to grab all their items across the table, or do they use both hands? So if something's on the same side of the body, they'll use their left hand to grab something off the left side versus using their right hand to cross over their body to grab something, or if they turn and grab objects, is kind of those examples. Next is proprioception, and this is the information that the brain receives from our muscles and joints to make us aware of body position and body movement. So this would be knowing where you are in space. So while you're listening to this, where are your feet? Are they on carpet? Are they on tile? Do you have socks on? Just knowing where you are in space. If you close your eyes and try to touch your nose, you're going to be able to touch your nose because you know where your nose is in relation to your face. Next, we're going to talk about balance and coordination. So balance is the ability to maintain a controlled body position during task performance. whether sitting at a table, walking the balance beam, or stepping up a curb. Coordination is the ability to integrate multiple movements into one efficient movement. So thinking about grabbing a glass of water and bringing it to your mouth to take a drink. If this skill is not intact, the process might not be so easy. But why are these skills important for a child? So it allows the child to be involved in sport participation with a reasonable degree of success. It aids by fluid body movements for physical skills performance. Activity involvement is helpful for self-regulation, social participation, and a sense of belonging. And it helps develop and maintain appropriate controlled body movement, and it allows appropriate posture for fine motor task and attention. Muscular strength and endurance. So muscular strength is the ability to exert force against a resistance. This could be climbing stairs, doing push-ups, sit-ups, lifting weights. The skill is required to initiate a movement. So thinking about grabbing a gallon of milk out of the fridge. If you don't have the strength to grab that milk out of the fridge, you won't be able to lift it, and it can be difficult to carry objects. Whereas muscular endurance is the ability of a muscle or group of muscles to exert force repeatedly. So doing the same motion over and over again. This could be walking upstairs. How many can you go before you get tired? Putting away groceries on the top shelf. Do you need a break? Thinking about a child, how long are they able to sit up at that table and eat their food or perform in a task? Do they get too tired to sit up that long? So it's thinking about being able to perform everyday activities. So why is this important? It enables children to perform everyday tasks. It also helps maintain proper posture all day long, contributes to higher metabolism, and it improves strength in tendons, ligaments, and general joint health, which reduces the risk of serious injury. Hand-eye coordination is the ability of the vision system to coordinate the information received through the eyes to control, guide, and direct the hands in accomplishment of a given task. This could be handwriting or catching a ball. It also relates to different skills, which include visual motor integration and eye tracking skills. Visual motor integration is needed for handwriting, and eye tracking skills are vital for reading. So you can address these skills within addressing the hand-eye coordination by performing hand-eye coordination games and activities. So this helps your child be able to catch a ball, hit a ball with a bat, and even do more challenging supporting demands. Young children also use this skill to learn to stack towers, build with Legos, and they need their eyes to guide their hands when tying their shoelaces, and even when they're frosting a cake. Bilateral coordination refers to the ability to coordinate with both sides of the body at the same time in a controlled manner. So this breaks up into three areas: symmetrical, reciprocal, and asymmetrical. Symmetrical movements are when both hands and or feet are performing the same motion. This could be clapping, pulling apart toys, or jumping. Both sides of the body are working together to perform the same motion. Whereas reciprocal movements are when the body differentiates both sides but using a rhythmic motion. This includes crawling, walking, riding a bike, and swimming. So they're doing the same motion but at different timing. The last one is asymmetrical movements, which are similar to reciprocal, but both sides are working together to perform separate tasks. So thinking about a child cutting, holding a piece of paper with one hand to stabilize it and using the other hand to use the scissors. Playing musical instruments, tying your shoes. These are all good examples explaining of how the hands are working together but performing different activities. But when performing bilateral activities, it is important to start with the symmetrical movements since they are easier, and your child will have to master these skills before performing the more complex and specialized activities. And they develop these skills at different ages and rates, so the best way to incorporate this into games and things is to make it fun. They will respond better when they think it's a game instead of a task that they have to do. So bilateral coordination promotes the ability to perform everyday activities such as tying shoes, dressing, buttoning, coloring, cutting, catching, playing, crawling, walking. So it is very important for gross motor skills. So we talked about why it is important to develop these skills that are involved in gross motor skills, but I also wanted to address areas in daily life that it impacts and why these skills are important when your child is going to school. So within the school system, thinking about having your child attend throughout the day, gross motor skills are important for sitting upright at a desk, participating in physical education requirements, accessing playground equipment, managing stairs, balancing on a toilet seat, and even maneuvering through the classroom. But what does this look like in a child? So we discussed the different ways that it could impact the child and what it looks like, but I want to give you examples of how you can see it in a child as well. A child that has challenges in gross motor skills may appear avoidant or just have a general disinterest in physical tasks. They may participate for short periods of time, which could be due to low endurance or fatigue. They may be unable to perform the same skills as their peers or just be less skillful, and may be late in reaching developmental milestones such as sitting, crawling, or walking. They may move stiffly and lack fluid body movement or look awkward or appear clumsy. So thinking about that fluid movement, when a child learns how to swing, at first they just jerk back and forth. And then once they start learning that skill a little better, it starts becoming more fluid and one movement versus the two jerky movements. They cannot maintain an upright posture when sitting on a mat or at a tabletop. This could look like them slouching or sitting on their feet, or they rest their hand on their head on their hand, or use their arms to stabilize their body when they're sitting on the floor. The child may also be unable to follow multiple step directions, such as an obstacle course if it's a 5-step obstacle course and they only get 1 or 2. They fail to perform movements safely, such as going on the jungle gym if they seem to be the child that is getting hurt more often if they just trip and fall for no reason or running into things. Just that general safety, and then they're unable to generalize or transfer a skill. So using that same skill, being able to throw a ball, but with a different ball, knowing that you have to change that force and movement when going between a heavy ball versus a light ball or a big ball versus a small ball. So what happens if this is left untreated? A child may have difficulty managing a full day of school due to the poor strength and endurance, participating in sporting activities, performing age-appropriate self-care tasks such as that dressing, bathing, mobility, may have poor self-esteem when they realize their skills do not match their peers, and poor fine motor skills due to the poor core stability. So it does affect other areas in their life as well. How can we improve these skills? So we can improve these skills by breaking it down and developing the underlying skills that we discussed prior. So that's the balance and the coordination, strength and endurance, attention and alertness, body awareness, motor planning. So doing this through practice is the best way to develop skills. By simplifying instruction on the physical skills. So breaking it down, example would be skipping. When they're first learning to skip, have them start with a step with their right foot and then hop and then alternate feet, just to break it down so they understand the entire task. And then gradually increase duration intensity, which will improve their endurance and be able to participate in tasks longer. And then appropriately grade the activities, which means giving them a task that is challenging for them, but not too challenging that they shut down. So if you are doing let's say, obstacle course. If they have difficulty with one aspect of the obstacle course, don't push them to make them shut down. Avoid that or change it and make it easier so they can perform it. How does occupational therapy help? So occupational therapy services aim to improve that independence and performance in a wide range of skills needed for daily living. The self-care skills, social interaction, performance at school or work for the older children, money management skills or travel trading, also help build that confidence and self-esteem with the child. And then they also work on strength and endurance to manage the full school day. But what does that look like? So when you're thinking about how are occupational therapy professionals helping my child, so they use exercises to strengthen the core muscles, improve stability, and work on that endurance and strength, the coordination and balance, attention, awareness, and the movement planning. So bringing that all together in one big circle. And then breaking the physical task down, gradually combining each basic activity to structure the larger task. They boost sensory modulation to enhance attention and arousal to better complete the activities. They use a graded approach with intensity and duration of tasks to develop the stamina and tolerance. And they use strategies to improve the child's ability to plan and anticipate tasks, such as asking the child to verbally state the required action before performing it. The last thing that I'd like to address is the activities that support gross motor skills. I wanted to provide just an overall gross motor activities. So this could include balloon and bubble play, bowling, catching, dancing, martial arts, obstacle courses, playground play, Simon Says, swimming, tricycles, trampoline, or any unstable surface such as grass, slopes, stairs, escalators. These are all things that promote gross motor skills. Breaking it down a little bit, I just want to discuss some activities that are for strength and endurance. So this could include wheelbarrow races, for the upper extremities, so those shoulders and the core stability, wall push-ups for that upper extremity, high knee marches for lower, same with hopscotch, and then the last one, jumping jacks. One way that working with this is if they have difficulty understanding how to perform a jumping jack, you can label the move. So one way that we've done it is do a starfish when your arms are out and legs are out, and then a pencil when they're both together. Next, animal crawl or animal walks. So these are great for overall gross motor as well. So being able to know where your body is, including both upper and lower extremities and all those different things. So depending on your your child's skill level, you may have to adjust the activity the first couple times. This may include showing the child how to perform the task, having a visual such as a paper that has the picture and explains it, or even just help with their placement of their body. Sometimes it can be difficult for them to see and do. For postural control, so one great one is the ball stability, having your child sit on the ball while doing tasks at a tabletop. Making sure that they're safe is very important and the ball's not too big for them to roll off of it. Until they build up that core a little bit, it'd be a good idea to have someone around supporting the child just in case. Making a bridge is another one. So having them have their knees bent and knees together and lift their bottom up and see how long they can hold it. You can make it fun by having them see how many cars they can drive underneath their legs before they get tired. or you can drive cars under their legs, just making it more fun so they'll stay on task. Next is like snake curls. So similar to making a bridge, so you have those knees bent and together, and have the child have their hands resting on their leg, and then ask them to slither up like a snake and hold it for a few seconds and then slither back down. The last one is tightrope walker. You can grade this many different ways. So if they have difficulty just staying on the line, just have them do that, work on that. And you can use tape, sidewalk chalk, a rope, anything. And if they need it more difficult, you can see like in the picture, he has a beanbag on his head. You can do that, have them keep the beanbag on his head. Otherwise, to make it more challenging, you can also add obstacles within the tightrope. So having them touch objects that are on the ground near the tightrope without falling off. So this is just a great activity that you can change up and make it fun throughout the entire time. Next, bilateral coordination. So a Zoom ball is really cool. That works on the symmetrical movement, and it's a fun game. And there's also a DIY. You can do it at home, so you don't even have to buy it if you have some of this extra stuff laying around. Hand over hand rope pull. That's also good for the shoulders strengthening as well. Jumping with both feet over objects. And you can change it up, make them do one foot, then do their other foot. But those both can be included into like an obstacle course as well. Combat crawls are really good for bilateral coordination, making sure that they lay on their stomach and do alternating movements with their legs and then their arms. And then the maracas or shakers are really good for those younger kids to keep them interacted and keep that movement going. So next is hand-eye coordination. So there's lots of different activities that you can do for this, and they do overlap with like bilateral coordination or any other gross motor skills. So the first one is the object relay. When you're performing object relay, have them hold the ball with both hands. Either pass it above their head, under their legs, left side, right side, but try to keep them stationed in one spot. So even if you have to put tape down or a spot down to have them keep their feet on, really improves the movement in its entirety. Next is rolling a ball. When performing this task, to specifically look at hand-eye coordination, have them stop the ball before it gets to them and hits them. This will allow for that to start coming together, being able to know that they need to block it with their hands to be able to catch it rather than let it hit them. Toss and catch. This is kind of the same, put together, a little bit different. Have them throw the ball up in the air. They'll have to start with it, throwing it up low, and so they're not going all over the place and losing the ball, and also having them stay stationary. And the last one is the ball wall toss, and this works on a bunch of things, which is including like timing and pacing and knowing how hard they have to throw it to be able to catch it. So starting off closer to the wall and having it do light throws, and then as they get better, have them step back where they have to adjust and learn that they need to throw a little harder each time. Crossing midline. So Twister is a great game working on that as well. Also, figure eight is something that I've seen a lot. So having that on your wall or on the ground, but having the child stand stationary, using one hand to follow the track. You can use a car, you can use toys, whatever to keep them entertained, but have them just use the one hand and then switch and just do the other hand. Crossing the midline with rainbow drawing is a really cute idea. Having them sit on the paper and just using that one hand to go back and forth will promote crossing midline. Some exercises that your child can do is have them touch their hand to their opposite knee, or their hand to their opposite toe and vice versa. And that is all I have for everybody today. Thank you for joining me and listening. If you do have any questions, you can email me at the link below. And I do have some resources on the next slide that you can use as well. Thank you.